With 2025 right around the corner, everybody needs a little bit of luck, everybody needs a lot of wealth. So today we're doing the cabbage and the peas. I'm gonna show you how I make mine. All right, we're gonna start out with our black-eyed peas coming straight out of the bag. We're not using none of this canned stuff. We're going dry black-eyed peas. I like to dump them out and sort through them, see if we can find any broken pieces, any trash. I've even found rocks in them before. But after we sift through them, we're gonna take them and we're gonna rinse them pretty good in the sink. Just dump them in a colander, rinse them real good, and dump them back in the pan. And we are not gonna soak these peas. Most people will soak these black-eyed peas overnight. You really don't need it. All you're going to need for this recipe, which is super simple, is onion, a pork ham bone left over from Thanksgiving, and we're going to get these onions cut, get them into the Instapot. I like using the Instapot on dried beans because you don't need to soak them. You can cook them in about 30 minutes, and they cook perfect. They'll taste just like they've soaked and they've cooked all day on the stove. But we're going to get them in the pot. And then here's this ham bone that is left over from Thanksgiving. We save the bone, we stick it in the freezer just for this right here. We got to get them in that pot with the beans and the onions. And then we're going to start our seasoning. We're going to top it off just above the beans with water. And those beans are going to soak up that water, and it's all going to rise up to above the top of that bone. Now that it's in the pot, it's time to start out with a little bit of our Midwest dust. We're going to get about 2 teaspoons or so into this pot. No need to measure. Then we'll come in with our Boar's Night Out Southern Thunder. A lot of good umami flavoring in that. Same amount, about 2 teaspoons rather. Uh-oh, there's a secret. Some of that new Texas Tornado. Now, once we get everything in this Instapot, we will get it set on high pressure, 30 minutes, it'll be done. Now that we've got the peas cooking, it's going to take 30 minutes or so to cook those, and we'll do a slow release on the pressure. We'll start getting our cabbage ready. You know, everything's better with bacon, so we got about half a pack of thick cut bacon. Get it in that pan and get it to cooking. If you need a half a pound, you always cook a full pound. Ooh, look at me stir that bacon quick. Got the whole place smelling good. Now, we need to drain off a little bit of that grease. We want a little bit, so we're not going to drain this off in a colander or anything. We're just going to dab a little bit up with the paper towel, save about half of that bacon grease. But we want a little flavor, so we're going to add a little bit of butter to that bacon grease. And then we're going to start getting them onions in the pan. Like to get the onions cut big. Don't like them too small because I like to have the texture of those onions still a little bit of a crunch. I don't want to cook them down too soft because I like the texture of that. I'm going to add a little bit of white lightning for my salt and pepper, and then we're coming in with some more of that Texas Tornado. Now to the cabbage, I like to cut the core out of it, and I like to rough chop this in large pieces because it's going to wilt down. And you're going to put this entire head of cabbage in this pot. And if it is heaping over the top, that's okay, because it's going to cook down. As it starts to soften and steam, it's going to shrink down by like 50%. You could have put 2 heads of cabbage in that pan, and it would have shrunk down and been perfect. But I like to cook these down just to al dente. I don't like them, my cabbage super soft. I like to have a little bit of a crunch. That's why I like the onions pretty big, and I like to have different textures. Back to them beans. There they are, they're done. They have cooked for that 30 minutes, and we are down to where they've rested for 5 minutes. We're going to let that pressure off. Not going to do a slow release. We're going to do a quick release on it because it's not meat. Meat will tend to toughen up a little bit if you do a quick release, but with the beans, it's fine. And look at this. Those beans have soaked up all that water, just like it's been cooking all day long on the stove. Look at that ham bone. It is broken down, and we've got nice pieces of leftover ham. You can see the bones are breaking down, and there's nothing but a lot of good flavor in that pot. Time to serve it up. Man, that was a good plate of food. Going in for that cabbage. Notice that cabbage is soft, but it's not mushy. That's what we want. We want some texture. It's one of my favorite plates right there. Go. Man, that is so good. I'm going in for seconds. Some of that cabbage. Man, that's good. For any of our Boars Night Out products, go to boarsnightout.com.